to the Train with the Best podcast. I'm Craig Hoffman.
And I'm Chris Gorres.
He's back, everybody!
That's right. I'm back. Let's do this.
We are excited to have you back, my friend. It is great to see you on the Zoom and to hear you, and good for everybody listening to have you back in their ears. Huge shout out though to all of our guest hosts who filled in while Chris was taking his time away. Everyone, it was really, like, honestly, I know you actually were listening to a lot of those conversations, because we would text back and forth about them, and it was really cool to have those kind of conversations and for people to continue to come on while Chris was out. I mean, obviously we've had so many great conversations over the years with so many different guests. A lot of the ones who came on were people that had been on before, but to get to have those kind of conversations where people really felt like, because it was just a one-on-one with me, like they were a co-host in that conversation as opposed to a guest just getting peppered with questions. That was very cool, and certainly not an opportunity that I'm like looking to do all the time. I love having you on this podcast. It's always better when you're here. But you make chicken salad out of whatever's put in front of you, and we did that, and hope everybody enjoyed all the guest co-hosts for the last couple of months. But Chris is back, and he's back with a huge announcement later in the pod. Our friend Nick Simmons is going to join us. We are working with something on him. I've kind of hinted that like February is going to be a big month for Train with the Best. What that means, why it's such a big month for us, that is going to be revealed later on in this very podcast with Mr. Simmons. But Chris, you also, it's not like you've just been sitting around, sir. No. You've been busy working, and specifically on a project with a family member who became a client, and the results are pretty spectacular. What have you been up to on the training side of things these last 2 months, and what are people going to hear about later in the show?
Yeah, well, so first of all, I do want to address kind of the elephant in the room, and I wanted to say thank you for your efforts and continuing with the podcast, and all the co-hosts that wanted to come on and take on the responsibility of hosting the show and putting out good content. And it was kind of like a cool thing for me to be a listener of the podcast and not just somebody who's thinking about, oh, what are we going to talk about next? And then just like your support and the support of all the co-hosts that came on, reaching out to me and making sure that I was okay and all the stuff I was doing. And it was great. It was great to kind of take a step back, reset myself. And like you said, I have been active, just trying to fly under the radar a little bit. My cousin was here. He was here since just before Halloween, right? So he's 20 years old. He plays at the LaSalle University in the Philippines. He's a soccer player. And right now, with everything going on with COVID and Omicron and everything is shut down over there. So there's no training. There's nothing going on. He decided that since school was online, he was going to come on over here, stay with me for a few months and train. Still take his classes, so he would still like do his online classes at night, at midnight, up until like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. or whatever. Right? That
time difference is not kind.
Yeah, it's all the way through. So there was a lot. There was a lot of things, not just training. Just teaching him a little bit about the American culture, teaching him what daylight savings means. Like they don't do that over there. Just a lot of different things. But it was an opportunity for me to have a blank canvas. And say, what could I do with an athlete that gave me 3 to 4 months of training? Now, he was a canvas that was probably less than blank, to be honest with you. He was coming from a deconditioned state where they weren't really doing anything for over a year. And not to mention that, like, culturally, it's just different in the Philippines, right? Their definition of work and hard work and commitment is very different to what you would see from a high school level athlete here, right? Like when you talk about youth sports here in America, it is very competitive. Mm-hmm. Even you see it with my daughter right now. It's very competitive. If you want to be good, if you want to be great, if you want to make it to the college level, you got to put a lot of work in. It's not quite the same over there. I'm not saying that they're lazy, but it's just the standard is very different.
Yeah, it's a different intensity for sure.
Yeah, so the first thing I needed to do was make sure I don't break this kid. Like I can't just put him into. I can't even put him into phase 0 in the beginning because that's gonna kill him, right? Like he's gonna throw up after the warm up, right? And I remember even like when we tested him the first day, just going through the tests, which is not a workout, you're just testing. That already got him winded a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh man, we've got plenty of work to do just to get you to starting line, let alone the finish line.
Right. There's like a baseline level of conditioning that you got to have to do a workout of the intensity that you need to play at a collegiate level.
Right. At least in my eyes, what I'm used to. Right.
Right. So, right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So there was a little bit of, him wanting to do well, but him also like not wanting to disappoint me because I'm his older cousin and this and that. And so, in the Philippines, we have this word it's called kuya. So I was like his kuya, which is your older brother, older sibling, older relative. He didn't want to disappoint me, and it took a lot of support from me and also from Vina. Vina did a great job of supporting him, say, hey, no, just keep trying. Like he's here for you. He's pushing you because that's what you're here for, right? Like he's not doing this because he hates you. He's pushing you so that
right.
To get the most out of you. So, we went to work for 4 months and I took him through the programs and taught him a lot of what I know. Took time to explain the different things, the different philosophies and the different principles that we always talk about here on the show. And a few months later, man, the results were incredible.
Yeah. So when we get back, we're going to dive into those results. So Chris trained his cousin from basically early November. He gets here around Halloween, late October, early November until earlier this month. And the results, which I know, Chris called me last week and we were talking. He's like, when I come back, this is what I want to talk about. And they're amazing. And I want to dive into not just be like, okay, here are the numbers. Good job, Chris. But like, how'd you do it? Why'd you make the choices that you made from a programming standpoint? What are some of the factors that you were able to control because he was living with you and some of the other things that you're thinking about, including, by the way, a class schedule that has him up till 3 a.m.
Right.
Compared to a normal client that you might see even 5 times a week if you're training at an elite college level, but only for, say, an hour and a half a day. So we'll get into all that next here on the Train with the Best podcast. The Train with the Best podcast is brought to you by Super Coffee. Routine is an essential part of life. Getting in a good routine can help you feel centered and stable. Not to mention, it's going to help you be really productive. But one of the downsides of routine can be monotony. So how do you develop a good routine without getting bored? Well, when it comes to coffee, Super Coffee has you covered because they have such an incredible array of flavors, styles, all the different ways you can consume coffee. I don't even know what categories they go in. They have the ready to drink in the traditional, they have the plant-based, and they come in a variety of flavors from mocha to vanilla, literally chocolate to vanilla with caramel and sweet cream and all of these delicious flavors like hazelnut in between. They have the coffee pods. They have Super Coffee grounds. They have super creamer so that you can mix up the coffee you make with your pods and or your grounds. It is the one-stop shop for all things delicious coffee, and it all comes, no matter what product, with 0 sugar. It is a great part of any routine, so go right now and get you some for 25% off using the code TRAINWITHTHEBEST at drinksupercoffee.com. Again, that code is TRAINWITHTHEBEST at drinksupercoffee.com. All right, Chris, so you trained your cousin. By the way, what was your cousin's name so that we can refer
Ezra.
to him?
Yeah, let's
his name.
call him Ezra. Yeah, Ezra.
All right, so you train Ezra from early November when he gets here, just after Halloween, to early February. And the results are astonishing. You took his vertical jump from 25 inches to 29 and a half. You took his Kaiser squat from 1,247 to 1,811 watts. Spark 749 to 1283. His 10-yard split, this might be the most astonishing number on here. 10-yard split from 1.87 to 1.56. And then his shuttle from 525 to 458.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, those were the numbers that directly translate to him being a better soccer player. So those are the numbers that we worked on all the time. So teaching him how to march and skip from day one, which was quite the journey, right? Like he didn't even know how to march and skip the proper way. And then his march and skip became very mechanical. And then towards the end, it was like, all right, you don't have to focus so much anymore. Like we talk about conscious incompetence and unconscious competence, all that. Like, hey, you can relax a little bit and let this flow. So a lot of it just teaching him the forms, but more importantly, like I said, there was such a cultural shift that I had to teach him. So just to get him into the rhythm of working out, like, hey, this is what it's like to work out 3 times a week. This is what it's like to work out 4 times a week. This is what it's like to work out twice a day, 3 times a week, and then 4 times a week, right? So those were things that I had to ease into him, because look, if I start him on phase 0, where we're going Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 days, two workouts a day, he's not going to make it. Like, he's going to jump on the next flight home, right?
Or so get hurt, or both.
Or get hurt, right? So there was a lot of just getting him used to the schedule of everything. And, of course, like you said, we had to play with his schedule, being up late at night, when he was going to eat, when he was going to sleep. Took advantage of our sponsors, Momentous and Super Coffee, 100%. Like I said, look, this is part of your training. Like your training right now is you've got to fuel these workouts. You've got to fuel them. You've got to recover from them. So we taught him how to use all of the recovery tools that we have here at the house. Taught him how to take vitamins and just all the things that that you don't think of, all the things that I don't get to control on a normal client, right? Like, I don't get to say, hey, drink this right now. You know?
You can make suggestions, but it's a lot easier when they're at your home.
Right. And to his credit, he really took that on. Like, if I told him to take vitamins, he took vitamins. If I told him to take the collagen, he took the collagen, and that worked for him. And then, like, a month later, he would be like, yeah, that collagen's nasty. Like, I was like, well, don't drink it straight. Mix it with stuff, you know?
Right.
So
here's the blender.
Yeah, but he did. But again, to his credit, he did it. It didn't matter to him that it didn't taste right to him, and he had to get used to it. We bought him a little blender bottle, and he did all the things. When I told him to go to sleep, he went to sleep. When I told him he had to get up, he got up. So all the little things that before we even step into the gym, he was doing those things, and he really bought into it. So I was thankful that he gave me that. I didn't have to fight him on those things. And then when we got to the gym, it was. I mean, that's the easiest part for me, right? Like, that's what we do all the time. So building the stability, building the control, building the form, getting him stronger, finding the movements that he was good at. Because the one thing that he was good at was push-ups, right? We still got a little bit stronger at push-ups. I think he went from 30 push-ups to 39 push-ups, which are decent, And yes, those are pretty strict on the form, right? He went from pull-ups went from 5 pull-ups in the beginning to 15 pull-ups when we finally tested. So, there were some things that he did well, and then we built on that, and then we went straight to work with all of the things that he didn't do well. And a lot of this is, we got stronger and we got more explosive, but a lot of that is just unlocking a lot of the potential that was in him already, like teaching him how to run forward, teaching him how to lean forward, teaching him what max effort really is, right? Like, it's not like I took him from 1,200 watts to 1,800 watts just because we built muscle. No, like, he was already there, but he wasn't comfortable, or he wasn't able to produce that much force because something in him just kind of held back. So just teaching him how to not hold back and be comfortable with true max effort lifts.
Yeah, no, I want to break down that, because I think that's something that's really important for athletic performance, that even with Gen Pop clients, that I think a lot of trainers struggle with. That's something that I've worked on with a lot of clients over the years, is like, I could do one more. It's like, no, you could have done 10 more.
Yeah, right.
Right? Or like, it's starting to feel heavy. It's like, okay, so keep going. And like, there is an empathy piece that you have to give. There is, you want to validate their feelings / not just undercut them and be like, basically you don't want to tell them they don't know their own strength in a way that's mean. But you do want to really make them feel what it's like to be near that red line. And that's where, as a trainer, you have to spot, and like, there's like physical things you have to do, but I think that's a lot harder with speed, because you can't, like, on a bench press, it's the easiest thing in the world, right? You just do another one, do another one. Then when they finally like are failing out, you just grab their wrists and take the dumbbells away. Because oftentimes it's like clients who are not very experienced in that way or that discipline or that exercise. And so taking the weights away is easy because they're doing 20s and you just grab the 20-pound dumbbells and you walk away. And you're like, that's what it feels like to be near the edge. That's how many more you had in the tank. When it's run as fast as you can or do a Kaiser squat as hard as you can, generate as much power as possible, and they don't, it's not like you can go push them in a different direction, like or pull them along at a faster speed to assist their, you're not doing assisted sprints. You have to teach them to unlock their potential. So what were some of the steps that you took to do that in the speed and power realms?
Yeah, so it's like you said, you have to find their limitations or their perceived limitations and then take them past that so that they can look back and be like, oh, I didn't think I could do that, And then you kind of have to play with that a little bit, like give them that feeling of accomplishment so that it feels good and we're ready for the next one, right? So again, going back to the schedule, I would let him know, like, hey, tomorrow's going to be a day where I need you to be on your game, so make sure you get your rest tonight because we're going to push it tomorrow. So he would know. And the way that I would do it, the way that I like to unlock a lot of potential anyways is, one, unconsciously, right? Like I will take him into making him run fast by giving him other external cues that force him to run fast without him having to think about it, right? Like ball drops and things like that, or chasing me, like just get him out of the thinking like, oh, I got to run fast. All right, well, give him something to chase or give him something to run away from, right? Like those are the easiest ones, right? And you find out a little bit about that person's personality and mentality, like what do they run faster from? For me, I was always the person that ran away faster than I ran towards something, because if something was dangerous, why am I running towards it? Like that was just me logically, right? So I was a good wide receiver. Wasn't that great as a D-back because, all right, I'm not running into danger. I'm running away from it. So that was number one. Just doing it with like games and making it fun for him so that he's not thinking about it. And then the other thing I would do is a lot of isometrics, a lot of contrast work, right? Like I love using isometrics to find muscle activation that you can't find when you're just focused on moving a bar, right? So I would put 600, 700 pounds on a Kaiser squat, and I would let him know, like, look, this is not going to move. I don't expect it to move, but what I want you to do is push as hard as you feel comfortable with for 5 seconds. Okay, good. You did it. You feel what that is like, right? All right, now focus on keeping your back straight. Focus on engaging your core. Now I want you to push for 3 seconds, but I want you to push even harder. Right? So wherever you were, let's call that 80, but now I want you to push it at 90. Okay. Feel that? Does that feel different? Good. Now, let's go 3 seconds again, but if we were at 90, let's go 100. So after doing that for a while, what you'll see is like your client, your athlete, after they really get comfortable with it, they'll step out of a 3-second rep and be out of breath. And it may be even a little bit dizzy. Like you felt what it's like when you do heavy ass deadlift. Like you're like, oh my God, I'm a little bit lightheaded. I only did 3 reps, right? When I get to that point, I know I'm on to something. I know, like, hey, that's the effort that it takes to empty your tank in 3 reps, in 3 seconds, in 1 second, right? Okay, give me that same type of effort when we jump. Give me that same type of effort when we run, right? And that was unlocking that effort that was already there, but they're not in that zone. Like they're not comfortable with it. They don't know what it's like to be operating over there, right? It's like having the attic in your house, right? That you never go to, right? It's there. You just never use what's in there, right? So that was a lot of what we did. And then, yeah, we obviously got faster and stronger with some of the lifts. But honestly, that's the easy stuff. Like anybody can do that.
Right, you just watch our reels on Instagram, and there's 5 exercises to improve your deadlift or your bench right there. No, I was funny. I was having that conversation with one of my clients today who's a little bit more experienced. She was a D1 athlete in college, I'll tell people who it is because we actually featured her in our client spotlight on our Instagram a couple weeks ago. Lar, who's a solid core coach here in DC and was a D1 high jumper, and because she has that background compared to a lot of other clients I train, like I'm a little more advanced with her. I can do some things, but I was like, to be honest, like that reel is great and all the things will help you deadlift better. But for a lot of people, the most important thing to get a stronger deadlift is for them to just do deadlifts and to phase it out properly or to program it properly. And then when you get to a point where you're plateauing, you really have like some kind of roadblock, then we can focus on some of the other things that are more weak points, as opposed to just kind of what you've been saying all along in this chat is unlocking the strength that's already there. That's the key with most people, is unlocking strength that's already there versus feeling the need to actually, quote unquote, get things stronger.
Yeah. And a lot of it, like the conversations we'd have in the car and at home and stuff, like being able to talk to him about it and being able to educate him on the process made him a lot more comfortable too, right? So it's not just like, hey, I'm going to try to make you the Rock. Like, no, that's not what this is, right? You're going to feel sore. This is what you should expect. This is what we're trying to do. I related it to him like when you download a game on your iPhone, it's kind of annoying because in that game, there are all these power-ups and specials that you can use, but you have to unlock them or you have to pay for them, right? But for you, this is what we're doing. All we're doing is unlocking what's already in there. We're not adding anything new right now. So what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to the effort. I want you to pay attention to your form. I want you to pay attention to the way that you sleep, like all those things. So I would tell him what to focus on, because there are times like when we were doing the isometrics, so I just want him to focus on the effort. And then there are times in the beginning, especially when I'm teaching you how to do dead bugs, I want you to focus on the form, right? So just being really clear with what I wanted from him, I think was really helpful. And again, the results kind of speak for themselves. I was really excited to see what he had done. And then, all the things that you can't measure with a stopwatch or with Kaiser, the things that he learned about hard work, the things that he learned about himself, the discipline, the motivation, the organization of your schedule, all those things. Like, I'm proud of what he did, and I'm excited. What I told him is the real test is not what you can do with me, because I know I can make you a better athlete in 4 months. Otherwise, I suck at my job, and I don't suck at my job. Mm-hmm. But what's going to happen if I tested these numbers again 2 months from now? Are they going to go back down? Are they going to stay the same, or are they going to get better? So that was a lot of it too, right? Because towards the end, I would start to pull away from these workouts and say, hey, look, I'm not going to be there with you in the Philippines. You got to do these workouts on your own. So I'm not going to sit here and watch you, but here's what you have today. And then we would sit and talk about the plan, and he would say, okay, well, what's this move? What's that move? What are we trying to accomplish here? And, it brought me back to the days of when I used to work with Zoe, and we'd have to do remote stuff, when I used to work with Joanna Fenema now. And I would say, hey, look, this is what I want you to focus on here. Today's a red day. Today's a green day. Today's a yellow day. Today's a day where you're only going to get 6 reps. So I want the most that you can out of the 6 reps. Today's a day where I want you to take as many reps as you need to get it right. So it brought me back to a little bit of those days, but being able to control literally everything with this kid, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a great reminder there. We did a whole episode on this at one point. The concept is well known from the book The Inner Game of Tennis, about how focus is not only the thing that you're doing, but it's what you're not. It's like it is that singular blocked out idea that you are, to use the word in the definition, but focusing on. And it sounds like you were able to isolate exactly what you wanted in a really effective way, and that's part of the reason why he gets the results. Last thing real quick, has he gotten back onto the field yet, and what has it felt like for him, if he has, to like get out, even if it's just like by himself dribbling around, to like kind of unleash his powers on the ball in his, what it is the thing that is most comfortable to him, I'm guessing, being a soccer player? For sure.
Yes and no. I mean, we have enough room at Onyx to mess around the turf and get some touches in. But that for sure will be the real test, is, he'll go out and I'm hoping at some point they'll be able to practice again and get with his team, because that's something that he's missing. And honestly, that fitness comes from playing with your team, because I think, especially in soccer, this is besides the point, but especially in soccer, like, people miss the point in conditioning, because soccer is 11 on 11. Like, you can be the fittest person on the field and know when to move. But if you're not moving with your team, then it doesn't matter. So
Right.
he'll get that. But I told him what to expect, which is, you're going to get out there. And now what that speed does for you is you can think about what comes next. So instead of having to focus so much of your energy on winning to the ball, you're already there. You won. And now you can start thinking about what I'm going to do with the ball when I get there. You know what I mean? That's what speed does for you in that game. And he can see that. He can feel that. He can feel that he's not getting pushed off the ball quite as easily as he used to. He can feel that he knows how to accelerate, when to accelerate, and what those mechanics are like. And it's not just something that he has to think about or focus on as much. He can just get there. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to do when he gets back there. I know he has ultimate goals of making it to the national team, and that's certainly within his reach if he continues on his path.
No doubt. All right, when we get back, major, gigantic, huge announcement for a big project that we're working on with our buddy Nick Simmons. Nick will actually join us next on the pod. The Train with the Best podcast is brought to you by Momentous and their brand new collagen shot, a truly one-of-a-kind proprietary product that you are not going to find anything like anywhere else. They designed the collagen shot to be the first ever collagen product made with the active individual in mind. Collagen supplementation is essential to increase longevity and improve connective tissue health. Of course, there's benefits for your skin, your hair, your nails, some of the things that traditionally collagen has been marketed as, but it truly is about performance. It's about that longevity. And the problem with most collagen supplements is they come in powders, which are terrible tasting, hard to mix. They get really clumpy. Like, look, I've used Momentous as collagen powder for years. And if you have the time to use it in a blender every single day, then great. Like, it's very easy. But if you are on the go and you want to hit that magical point about an hour before you start your exercise to maximize your collagen supplementation, it was really hard to do. It's not the kind of thing that you just like put in your water. Like that's not ideal. This, however, the orange mango flavor is super mild. It comes in a little packet in a gel that you can take literally anywhere. I have them with me at home. I have them at Fit Collective. I've put them in like my little bag that I carry everywhere. It's really easy no matter where I'm going to be, no matter what kind of workout I'm going to be doing, to make sure that I have the collagen shot with me, which is a complete game changer. Or if you just want that daily collagen supplementation, then you just take one instead of the two that you take pre-workout, and boom, that's it. Just make it part of your morning routine. So no matter whether it's part of your morning routine, your pre-workout routine, make sure that you try out this incredible new product. And of course, you can get 25% off using the code TRAINWITHTHEBEST25. It's all at livemomentous.com. They are the premier performance company in the whole entire world. To close out the podcast this week, it is our pleasure to welcome in a two-time Olympian, YouTube star, and soon-to-be two-time competitor on the hit show American Ninja Warrior. It is our friend Nick Simmons. Nick, how are you, sir?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Doing well. So we have a big announcement to make with you, but then you also had another big announcement this week. You're headed back to American Ninja Warrior. So real quick, before we get to our announcement, like, why did you want to get back on that show, and how are you preparing to do so?
Well, I bombed out on the second obstacle in 2015, but at the time I was a professional runner. And over the last, 7 years, I've really become a more well-rounded athlete. And I think now is the time to go back and test myself on the Ninja Warrior course. I don't know how far I get, but I just haven't. I love the training for it, the preparation. And then the day of the shoot, it is so much adrenaline, so much excitement.
Right.
We'll be making YouTube videos for both my channels, behind the scenes stuff and on Instagram, just, everywhere. It's just great content.
No doubt. So that is not, though, the only thing that you are training for, which we are happy to announce right now, the other thing. So next week, as we sit here recording this, it is Thursday, February 10th. People will be hearing this on the earliest on February the 14th. On the 15th, the three of us are flying out to Phoenix, Arizona, where we will be at Exos, the best combine training facility on the planet, for a video where Nick is going to take on our good friend Lorenzo Alexander in all of the NFL Combine events, all the, I should say, non-football ones. They're not doing position drills. We didn't want Nick to have to get out there and do the wide receiver gauntlet or the linebacker drills against Zoe. We're not going to do that. But the 40, the bench, the shuttle, all that kind of stuff. Chris and I are going to provide the commentary. Our good friend Natalie Collars, friend of the pod, is going to provide Nick with some coaching out there at Exos. And we're really pumped about it. It'll come out, the video, on Nick's channel, Combine Week. So that first week in March. And we're pretty pumped about this. Nick, when I reached out to you and was like, hey, man, I have an idea. What was that email like to get on your end?
It's so funny because literally the day before I wrote a note. We have this big whiteboard where I keep all my video ideas. And I'm like, NFL Combine, exclamation point, exclamation point. We've been talking about making this video internally for like 3 years, but I just know it's such a good idea for a video. I always wanted to do it right. Like me just goofing around in Oregon by myself is lame, but all of us flying to Arizona to do it at Exos with Lorenzo, that's insane. So we're pulling out all the stops for this one. It'll be full production value, 20 minutes in length. It's going to be one of the best performing videos we've ever made. And I'm just so excited to test myself, a skinny distance runner trying out the NFL. Let's see. But here's the thing, guys. I'm worried I'm going to get recruited and then I'm going to have to go play NFL professionally at the age of 38. Like I'm like, what's going to happen?
So I was going to ask for predictions here. Nick's prediction is success and confidence. Chris, you've worked with a number of athletes over the years training for the NFL Combine, whether it's, on your own or with Yo and his team down in Florida. You obviously have trained a number of NFL players over the years. Like, what is Nick getting himself into? And especially because unlike a lot of NFL players who never do these drills again once they are done with the NFL Combine, Lorenzo would go back every year and do some of this stuff in his training. Right. So what was it like watching Lorenzo train? And I know you still train him from afar. So what has Nick gotten himself into here?
First of all, I am not worried that Nick is going to get recruited to go into the NFL. But because if that was a thing, oh my God, that would be incredible. Pretty incredible. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Like Nick said, it's going to be a lot of fun. I will say though that NFL guys are very different when it comes to competition, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you go to a track meet, even the spirit of the Olympics, right? There's a camaraderie that you have with your fellow Olympians and want everybody to do well, right? Like, you can do well in your 800 race and everybody else can still do well. In the NFL, you doing well means you dominated your opponent. So it's a very different mentality. And Zoe is one of the most competitive people that I've ever known. I mean, I recall a day where he came over to the house and we were just playing apples to apples with the kids. And he's like yelling at the kids on a card game, like, what are you doing? How could you say that? This is a guy that's super competitive. And I remember a couple of months ago when I came to him with the idea, I said, hey, Zoe, we're going to come out. We're going to film some stuff with Nick Simmons. He's a former 800 runner. He's going to compete against you in some of the events. And he was like, all right, cool. Send me the program. Right. Like, I was like, no. Like, you don't have to train. It's just going to be fun. Like, he just wants to see how he stacks up. He's like, no. I'm not going to go out there and let some 800 meter guy just embarrass me. So yeah. so it's going to be fun because he's going to bring his all. And I know Nick's going to bring his all and it'll be fun.
Yeah. Nick was an Olympic athlete. So there's that.
Well, I was going to say, how do you think he'll do in the all out 5K? Because that's definitely one of the events. Right?
Zero shit. So, I always say like there's always a distance where like it's a good race, right? Like if we run an 800, you're gonna smoke him. If we run a 60, he's probably gonna get you. I think somewhere around 300 to 400 meters is a good race. In a 5K.
Yeah.
What's that?
Maybe that's our follow-up video.
Maybe that's the follow-up video. I do remember. So early on in our training days, Zoe had a niece that was actually an 800 runner. And I think she was running like 215, I think, something like that, 215, 220. And he had made the claim that he could run 230 easy. And I said, wow. No, Zoe, that's not the fastest time in the world, but that is not slow. And for a guy like you, 230 is very fast. I mean, you're 235
I'd struggle to run 230. Yeah, that's legit running.
Yeah. He's like, no, I can deal with the pain. So maybe that's something that we bring up to
Well, don't tell him, but if he kicks my butt at this combine, I'm going to throw down and challenge him on the track. So
all right.
we'll get his reaction.
Yeah, because his competitive nature, if you challenge him on camera, he's going to say yes.
100%.
Yeah, we'll get him.
I guess we have our plans for the morning of the 17th now.
I was going to say, we were talking about what we were going to film the 17th. This would be a heck of a 1-2 video for sure.
That would be fantastic. All right, last thing before we let you go, Nick. What is the one event where you're like, I think I got him? Like, what if you have to put all your money down on one of these events? So we have the 40, we have the bench, we have the 5-10-5 shuttle, we have the L cone drill, and then the 2 jumps, vertical and broad jump. Those are the 6 events. Which one of those 6 are you putting all your money on if you had to put all your money down?
Literally none of them. But I mean, I'm sure some of you guys that are listening to this podcast don't know me, but when I say that I'm going to get recruited, it's very self-deprecating. I am going to get my ass kicked in every single event. The cool thing though is ever since we talked about filming this, I've been practicing bench. I'm proud to say I can lift 225 one time, which is all I wanted. I wanted to at least get 1 rep.
There you go.
And not get enough.
We love that. We love that.
So we're not going to win bench.
Yeah, no.
I would say, like,
how fast is he off the line? How fast is his 40?
I mean, Zoe will run a 4.7 when he was
Okay,
running.
he's going to beat me in the 40. How agile is he?
He's pretty agile. He's pretty agile.
He transitioned in his career from like an offensive lineman until eventually when he was retired, he's playing off the ball linebacker, covering running backs in space.
Nick, I think your best bet is going to be broad jump or vertical jump, honestly.
Unfortunately, those are 2 events I'm very weak at. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time no matter what. But I have a feeling let's put this at the over-under. Can Nick Simmons, can the old Bison win 1 event? That's the over-under. I don't know. If I get lucky on 1, I may be able to pull it off. But right now I'm thinking that's probably that's where Vegas is putting the odds at.
I'm a moral and ethical broadcaster, and I'm broadcasting this event, so I will not be making a prediction.
Okay, I like that.
I just don't want to be mean to you on our podcast. You're not beating him in anything.
Nick, I think if you win 1 event, that's a huge win for you, honestly. Yeah.
All right. That's what we're training for. We got
let that sink in. Let that motivation drive you in the next 5 days of training.
Go all in on broad jump. Broad jump is your best chance.
Should I just sandbag every other event to try to win that one?
I mean, but you should definitely practice broad jump because bench is just going to be out of the question unless we do like some sort of.
Unlike some of these like military tests that I do or like the track classic I put on, it doesn't seem like any one event is that grueling, right? Like you're not going to just like
you're not going. It's not like it's not like you have to save yourself for an event, right? Like the longest event is going to last 5 seconds. So
wow, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's quick. And here's what you do have going for you. You have an amazing coach. Natalie is fantastic. She will get the most out of you. Good. So we're looking forward to that. We'll see you in a couple days, man. Excited to meet you in person. Excited to do this. Thanks so much for responding to that email 5 minutes after I sent it. And let's have some fun in Phoenix.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited, guys. I'll see you very soon.